All right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mag, play fast. I know in today's video I said that we would probably jump on live on Wednesday, but um, rainy day here in Jacksonville. Most of you know that follow the stuff I do. Golf is my other hobby. Um, Raining, didn't get a chance to practice or go to the course today, so figured tonight would be a great night to jump on and uh, do a little live talk, talk about anything you guys want to talk about. Most of you guys, if you're football coaches, you know that when you finish up with the 4th of July holiday, usually you get 4th of July holiday off. As soon as you finish up with the 4th of July as a football coach, you know that it's just about grind time. Unfortunately, as a teacher, you also know that it's almost time to go back to school. But I've been doing this for 20 some odd years now in the high school setting, and it's kind of the same schedule. 4th of July week, get a chance to kind of relax a little bit. Most people have off in the weight room and with everything. How you doing, Chase, buddy? Everything that they got going on, but 4th of July and weekends, and it kind of gets into the grind. And for me, play fast wise, you'd have to ask Bartram Trail. I don't know. Football's not a thing anymore since people started playing each other. Um, for for me, it's one of those deals where when you get done with 4th of July, you get into the grind. All the play fast stuff picks up again. June is usually a lighter month for me. Try and get out of football a little bit, relax a little bit. 4th of July, you get the holiday after the 4th of July, you know that you're back into the grind. So you're getting into your install stuff, getting ready for fall camp, getting ready to make sure you've got everything ready to go inside fall camp. So I figured today would be a good day. Did a special teams video today on kickoff coverage circuit, just like tackling circuit, turnover circuit, how you can rep kickoff coverage stuff with your guys, get multiple reps, use your different coaches, teach guys how to avoid through the speed zone, and then teach guys about eight or less button press, shock and shed, whatever terminology you want to use, and then teach guys how to net the ball. We do it a little bit differently with the net drill. We've changed it a couple times. I've never really been in love with the net drill, so we've kind of tried to find a way to change that to where guys know how to change directions, vice the football, keep the ball on their inside shoulder pad, use leverage. But then another guy that's involved in the drill learns how to fold and get involved and, um, figure out how to fall back to where he needs to make a play. Because if you're running down the field on kickoff coverage full speed and the ball goes away from you, there's no sense continuing to run straight down the field. Everybody says, stay in your lane, stay in your lane. You can only stay in your lane for so long. Sooner or later, how you doing, Dwayne? Sooner or later, you got to be a football coach and you got to figure out how to make a football play on kickoff coverage. So I started the chat, putting my email up there. The last 2.5 months, we've been doing virtual clinics on Zoom, and I've done about 6 of them. I have them all stored on unlisted on my YouTube channel. So if anybody's interested in those right now, I am for the next 2 weeks leading into fall camp. I'm running a deal where you can get all 6 clinics for $40. That's 7.5 hours. Each one's like an hour and a half. So it's probably close to 9 hours of football for $40. Individually, they're $10. So running a special on those clinics that we've been doing. We got 3 more. This Thursday, we've got one at 8 o'clock. The following Thursday, we've got the defensive coordinator from Colgate, Jordan Belfour. He's going to do one. And then the last Thursday before fall camp kicks off, July 27th, Matt Lawrence, the offensive line coach from Bowles High School in Jacksonville, is going to do one on gap scheme. So we started off with Noel Mazzone talking offensive philosophy. My head coach, Tim Kraus, did one on screen game. I did one on blitz families and how we use our terminology to incorporate not only the coverage behind the blitzes, but how we communicate who's blitzing, what the path is, and we do all that with one word. So I did one on blitz families. Sean McIntyre, the head coach at Creekside High School in Jacksonville, did one on topic that really good topic. I've heard Kirby Smart talk about it before, but finding ways to use drills in practice that show up in games. So taking things that happen in games and turning them into drills. Kirby's mod bracket drill or whatever he calls it. modern day Oklahoma, whatever that stuff is. Finding ways to figure out things that happen on the perimeter, turning them into drills that you can use for offense and defense, whether it be blocking the perimeter, fitting things up. So Sean McIntyre did that, and then the guys from Atavis, Scott Lawyer from Atavis, did a tackling clinic. So 6 different clinics. My email's up there if you're interested in any of those or all 6 of them. Just send me an email and I'll let you know how we can take care of that. Oh, Karoga, congratulations. Championship running 3 high. We almost made it to the gold top 4, lost a very close game. Yeah, 3 high is a thing. 3 high is still out there. 3 high is, the interesting thing about it is it's really split field coverage. It's really quarters based concept. So nothing really changes for us. It's just a different way of doing it. Um, that's a little bit more conducive for the personnel that we have. We're going to do it from, um, we're going to do it probably from all 3 fronts we play, but we also have the luxury this year. Our middle safety's put on about 12, 15, 14 pounds. He's committed to Navy. So he's about 6.5, 200 pounds now. So I can actually play him at the mic if I want to change the box. So we can go from our tight front light box theory to traditional 4-2-5 theories. And then we could play mid front and use him as a linebacker. It's the same coverage. We don't have to change coverage at all. He's still the mic. He's still, a 3 vertical player. Some of our 3-by-1 adjustments we got to look at if he's going to be lined up in the mic. We've got a couple choices. We could make checks where he's down in the 3-by-1 deals, or we could allow him, since he's the same player, we can allow him to play his normal 3-by-1 checks. So like we play Stubby, everybody's version of Stubby. We call it mix. Some people call it mini, whatever you want to call it. If he's the same player and it's 3-by-1, he can easily line up to play mix if he wants to. So we're kind of in the middle of looking at that right now. Middle safety seems to understand it. Obviously in the summer, you don't get a chance to look at fits yet. He's big enough and physical enough to fit. It's just a matter of how much his reads change from the box to when he's playing 8 yards deep. So that's kind of what we got going on right now. Depending on what the offense is trying to do, we play your traditional box checks where we kind of zone it off, and corners got first up and out of one, and the safety's got the first up and in. And then depending on what they're doing, a lot of teams we play get into bunch to run the ball. I don't think bunch passing game in high school is really a deal. A lot of people say they do it, but I think they're full of shit. I think teams that get into bunch want to run the ball. They want to compress some things. They want to get the ball to the perimeter. So, we'll make a box check and put the Sam outside and the middle safety inside. And then very rarely do you get 4 verticals from bunch teams. It's hard for receivers to understand from bunched how to get back on, landmarks. So usually bunch is intermediate passing game, trying to get the ball to the edge, getting blocking angles. So you've got to have a check that sets the edge. So sometimes we'll play traditional cover 2 stuff to it. Sometimes we'll play the modified box look like Saban and them. We don't get too crazy with what the rules are if one goes behind 2, and we just don't have enough time to do all that. So, occasionally we'll box it and pull the safety from the backside over if nothing goes back to the single. So if they do try to get, a possible vertical stretch, we're still okay. But don't really see a ton of bunch. Teams that run it aren't really good at doing it. And it's one of those deals that, for me, if we saw it more often, I would probably spend more time in it. We spend a little bit of time in it. Our offense runs it, so we got to defend it a little bit. And I see it from time to time. But again, in my experience of high school football, when you see it for perimeter run. You don't see it as much for passing game. And I've said it on this channel a million times. I'll say it again. High school is 80% run. I don't care who you talk to. There's going to be some teams that chuck and duck. Yeah, you're going to face them every once in a while. There's, going to be some teams that quote unquote say they sling it and throw it. But if you see 50 snaps a game, I would almost guarantee you 30 to 35 of those are going to be runs, especially in games that are in the balance. If you've got the lead, then teams are probably going to try and throw the ball. But if games in the balance, most high school teams want to run the ball. So I approach it the same way with everything I do. We're going to defend the run first, even in bunch sets. We got the runner up in the group stage. Had a hard time running the ball, honestly, even with heavy personnel. Yeah, we held up halfway decent to heavy personnel last year. We had to make a couple game plan checks here and there, occasionally bringing a 4th D lineman. But, we're trying to play everything from the same personnel group this year, tempo and what offenses are doing now. And offenses are getting into multiple personnel groups without changing personnel. The team we played in the playoffs was probably the hardest team we had to defend all year. They weren't the most physically talented. They were very good. They were physical up front, had some good skill players, but they jumped in and out of like some under center wing T-ish type deals to shotgun four wide quarterback read game, all with the same personnel. So, maybe the kid that was playing tight end and the kid that was playing wing weren't as good as maybe subs that they could bring in. But the fact that they could go to that personnel group without changing defensively, you had to prepare to defend everything with the same guys on the field. So we're kind of, I'm kind of taking that in the offseason and saying, look, let's play the same guys we got. If we're going to be 4 down, we're going to use a linebacker. If we're going to change from 3 high to 2 high, we're going to use our middle safety. So trying to avoid bringing extra guys in. We don't have the extra bodies really to use anyways. Our extra bodies become offensive lineman types. And, they're playing 50-something snaps a game on offense. So, using them doesn't really do us a lot of good. We're going to be very small up front on defense this year. So we're probably going to have to move anyway. So I don't know right now if you're always going to have personnel groups where you bring in a fourth or goal line or short yardage, but I don't know if that's really in our wheelhouse right now. So we're trying to play everything from the same personnel. 2 read, if you get a fade from 2 and a drag from 1, are you having that corner play Meg 1, 2 going vertical? Where you have that corner play more of a mod technique? I would probably zone out on a dig. If 2 goes vertical and 1 runs dig, you've got to have linebackers underneath doing something. So I don't know. If I wanted to play 1, I would play quarters. If I wanted the corner to play all of 1, but I would defend the corner. I would try and let the safety have inside leverage and know that he may have help from the corner on some of those corner routes. I would not jump the corner all over the dig. I would tell the corner that he's got everything deep, whatever you want to consider mod. Some people say man on demand, man only deep, whatever your terminology is. I would tell the corner that we're not going to be over aggressive on the dig route, because if that's the route combination, if I'm playing 2 read and 2 runs fade and 1 runs dig, there's linebackers underneath. They only have 1 running back. So how many routes, unless they go 2 back and push 4 strong, it could be a little bit of an issue. But between the Sam, the middle safety, I've got people underneath to play the dig. And my philosophy on defense is you can throw the dig all day until I have to change coverage, but I'm going to try and not let you throw the fade ball and the post ball and those other things. So very similar to my philosophy on bunch. I don't think you see a lot of 12, 10-yard digs in high school football from the pocket. Yes, there are people that can throw it. Pass protection is an issue. Quarterback arm strength, route depth, timing. I think if people did throw the ball, I think they should probably try and throw more dig or hunt routes. But if you go back and go through all the clips you have of the past couple seasons, or whether it's you on offense or the other team, you'll get wide cross thrown a little bit more. You'll get some over routes on boots and waggles and things like that, or maybe some play action stuff. But the old fashioned true dig route, or, whatever people want to call it, from the pocket, that ball doesn't get, I don't see it a bunch. I don't know. That's just me. So, long story short, we would probably zone the dig off and let the corner help on the possible corner out of 2, and our backers would try and play the dig. If that's a concept that's prevalent, then maybe I got to play more true quarters, and now the corner's got to play man-to-man, and we'll get the dig covered tighter. But now the safety's locked on a vertical with no help. So, possibly some cover 2 stuff where we can sink and possibly make the window on the fade ball a little bit tougher, get a jam, reroute number 1, take some speed off, timing off. So just a couple different answers there. But initial question, I would zone the dig off with the corner and try and play it with underneath players. Base 5-2 structure in high school. If you have smaller D-line and linebackers, do you have to run it more, and as opposed to having more bodies on the line of scrimmage? Obviously, run situation. I think you still play. I think you still see a bunch of teams that play a lot of double eagle stuff. A lot of your better high school football teams that are more talented will play bare front, man-to-man, a lot of man-free. Tough world to live in if you're not super talented. I think obviously because of the game of football today, 3-4 structures are more prevalent, so you can drop more guys and have more hybrid bodies playing outside linebacker to do things in coverage versus 10 personnel teams. But you'll still see some 50 defenses. You'll still see some old school 5-2 defenses. And, you the problem is depending on what you're facing. If you're facing heavy run, heavy personnel, and you don't have to worry about throw game too much, it's fine. Anytime you're facing teams that can throw it a little bit, again, high school still say is 75, 80% run, but if they can throw it a little bit, anytime you're 5-2, you're now voiding zones out. You don't have a lot of choices. You're either 3 under 3 deep, match, carry, deliver, or however you want to play that. Um, the early days of zone blitzes before they were zone blitzes were 50 teams that sent 5 guys and voided the weak side flat. Wasn't a ton of passing game back then in those days, but that was old school zone blitzing in a way. Nobody knew what zone blitzes were, but you were sending 5 from a 5-2 structure and playing some type of softer 3 deep behind it, but you only had 3 underneath players. So obviously you can personnel it and put extra bodies on the field if you're getting heavy run, but do you see 5-2 in high school? Yes, I think you still do. When the games start coming on ESPN, you'd be surprised. Watch a ton of those games on ESPN with the best schools in the country, and you'll see a bunch of teams that play bear, double eagle, man free, 5 guys that just get after you every single play and wreak havoc. And for me, with the personnel I've had in high school, that's a tough way to live. Bear can always be a change up or an answer. Funny story segue. We play tight front, which is essentially a version of, a bear philosophy. We don't send 2 guys off the edge, but we're taking away both B gaps, and nose is going to play one of the A gaps. Well, essentially, that's what bear front football is. If you go back to the old 46 defense, and you've got 2 inside linebackers, and they know that the B gaps are covered, and they know that the A gap is played by the nose. They know when they get run, either way, it's either going to be an A gap open or a C gap open. So those guys could play a little bit wider. Their fits were a little bit easier. But the original 46 stuff from Buddy Ryan, that was basically for 21 personnel. Wasn't great versus 11. They had to use an adjuster, get into a bunch of either man free or, again, 3 under 3 deep stuff. They did play traditional cover 3 spot drop, but tougher to get to from, the 46 look where somebody's viced, the strong safety or whoever it is viced on a tight end. Tougher to do. But, football comes full circle. There's innovations, but at the same time, all the innovations are usually derivatives of ideas that have been around forever, and somebody just puts a spin on it or puts a fancy term on it. Zone read is option football, nothing new. RPO is option football, nothing new. It's all been around forever. It's just guys through trial and error or mistakes or whatever it may be. It's kind of like midline stuff in the option game. Midline came about because somebody blocked veer wrong, and quarterback figured out that fullback was about to get killed, so he just pulled it and kept it. Coaches look at practice film afterwards. They see that and they go, hey, that's pretty good. Maybe we should figure out a way to do that. And that's kind of how midline came about. So, sometimes it's a mistake. Sometimes it's luck of the draw. You luck your way into something, but football is pretty much full circle. It all what goes around, comes back around. Offense does something, defense responds. Defense does something, offense responds. And it's usually most of it, 3-4 stuff is old school 5-2 with different personnel. 3-4 teams still play a ton of under front. There's still a bunch of base, okie stuff that teams play. You still see slant and angle with 3 deep rotation. So, the game doesn't change as much as people think it does. I mean, tempo changed it a little bit. 10 personnel and quasi 11 personnel changed a little bit, but all the modern day football is just a spin of older football. All right. I'm not good with 7-man spacing. I don't understand all that lingo. I guess 7 guys in the fit. Maybe that's what that means. I don't know. Auto take back anything across his face is seeming a 3 push away. Or is he reading 3 and a 3 doesn't push away? Will you coach him to know that he can now deliver a drag to the inside? If 3 pushes away, he's got to try and cut everything he can possibly cut. There will be times, depending on the coverage, where we will take it back. I think it's very tough in high school to teach a kid when to take something back and when to not take something back. I think it's a lot easier to tell a kid that if there's no threat of 3 push, try and cut every route that comes across your face. Now, the problem with that is if you start getting shallow under routes, he's not going to get a chance to cut those. Taking things back sometimes in high school can get a little bit difficult. I know, when you watch some of the clinics of the college guys talking about it and they go through coverage, the one I laugh at all the time is the Jeremy Pruitt clinic where he goes through coverages and he says, all right, well, this guy's going to do this if all three are vertical. If three's vertical, he's going to take two back. If two's somewhere else. And all right, if you got the kids to do that and you can teach that, God bless you. We're lucky if we can play 2 3-by-1 adjustments, let alone, handle all those scenarios. So I do agree with what you're saying. 3 pushes away that backer to his side and quote unquote 7-man spacing has to understand that now if the inside linebacker pushes with 3, that there's going to be a huge hole in the middle. So obviously people are going to push the back 2-by-2, push the back strong, and then try and run the win route or shave or whatever you want to call it, where they get under the will or whatever the walkout palms player is. Couple things you can do to change that. You can lock the backside and play it a little bit more aggressively in man-to-man. So now you have a safety carrying that route back. We drop 8, so we play with a Mike linebacker that's a middle hole player. So any of those routes that come back under technically can get delivered to an extra linebacker. But I would try and tell that kid to cut that route. I don't talk to our guys a ton about taking things back because I think it's very difficult to do in high school, but I certainly see the scenario you are painting. We do talk a ton to our kids about where 3 is and understanding when you can be out leveraged and when you can't. We talk to our kids a ton about where the back is based on RPO windows and where you're going to get the RPOs. We don't see a ton of RPOs cross face or behind the quarterback. So if the back was on my right, I don't see a ton of RPOs to the left. There's not enough high school quarterbacks that are effective enough doing that. There are some people that do it and they're very good at it. It's a pain in the ass because we try to teach our guys when to hang and, when to fold based on where the back is with meshes and things like that. So, the other thing you could do is you could change up coverages where you don't have a push and you spot drop. So, all the chess pieces, cat and mouse game, but the scenario you're drawing up is 100% an issue. If 3 pushes away and a route gets across the weak side, inside linebacker, outside linebacker, whoever it is, if it gets across his face, would have an issue. There's going to be a void there that has to figure out how you're going to handle that. But again, different coverages, spot drop coverages, things that don't, when they're doing things like that off a 3 push, they're taking advantage of the fact that you push your coverage and pattern match. So have some change ups that don't pattern match. So it makes it a little bit tougher on them. Face stuff, also having the field side corner hit the flat and have the middle linebacker follow before it drop back. Yeah, I mean, Hunter, those are all good scenarios, but now you're saying that you've got to have the right coverage called based on the fact that you're getting that route combination. So anytime we talk about a route combination, we can come up with an answer, with how we want to play that. But if the original question is talking about 2 read or quarters, and you're not going to have a corner that's in the flat, then that's a tough answer. The great thing about football is those are all the answers you can build in. So if you're getting hurt with that concept, you can then go ahead and make your front side play cover 2 or whatever it is. And you can have a corner that traps the flat or hangs in the flat. You can do different things with your inside backer. But if the original question was, if the original question was what you're going to do based on that coverage, then you've got to have you got to handle it in that coverage. So, quarters outside linebacker also tough to take 2 back across the outside linebacker, 2 outside linebacker. Twins, Philly. Who plays the wheel in quarters? If the outside linebacker's inside 2, he's got to carry the wheel. That's always a big pet peeve of mine and a tough one. When we play quarters, we'll never play an outside linebacker with inside leverage and ask him to carry a wheel. But I know some people do it. I know some college guys that do it. I just don't. I'm not in love with it. If you're asking him, the other thing is in quarters, technically, I think he's a force player, to me, the way we play defense. But again, everybody, and that's the greatest thing about football and the greatest thing about talking football, the greatest thing about YouTube and YouTube Live is everybody has their own scenarios and you can play things however you want to play them as long as you can get the job done. So quarters to me is not quarters to everybody else. There is no across the board terminology. And that's what makes all these discussions. And that's why social media is awesome. That's why YouTube's awesome. That's why all these things are, an amazing way to talk football because every time somebody asks a question, everybody's got a different spin on it. So just within a room of 10 people, we play quarters 2 to 3 different ways. Right. And that's what to me, that's what also makes football so unique and interesting. And it makes it a pain in the ass at times when you're trying to talk to people because you may be speaking the same terminology, but talking about different things. You may be speaking different terminology, but talking about the same thing. I've had arguments with people before where we've argued over the same thing. We call it two different things, and then when we draw it or we get together in person and we look at it, we go, we're talking about the same damn thing. We're just talking about different terminology. Um, you know, we play it with outside leverage, Philly, but I've seen college guys in my office that'll come in and tell me Michigan State was one of them, and now they're borderline bastardized because some of their quarters to me is not true quarters. If the safety has two out, that's not quarters to me. I don't care what you call it whatever you want, call it press quarters, call it whatever. It's not quarters to me. But I'm also 51 years old or about to be 51 years old, and I am old school. I learned quarters the old way in 1991 in college or 1992. So, to me, the outside backer has the first to the flat. He's got the wheel. He's got all those deals. But again, like I said, there's different versions of quarters. So you can't. You just got to get your terminology straight when people are discussing things because you play them two different ways. One of them is not right. One of them is not wrong. If somebody plays it one way and plays better defense than you do, well, then maybe their way is better. Maybe it's not. Who knows? So you just got to make sure when you're asking questions, answering questions, everybody's got to be on the same page. That's why these discussions are great. Teams use a lot of sniffers or has a good tight end attached to the line of scrimmage. 3 high is the best answer I have for you. We do not have many issues with sniffers. We do not have many issues with tight ends. The old, the bitch in split field coverage, middle of the field open, quarters based concepts. Any attached tight end was a pain in the ass because there's an extra run surface there. Somebody's got to play 3 vertical. You can't play traditional middle of the field open because your Mike is not a 3 vertical player and he's probably an A gap player. A lot of times versus tight end attached, you would have to poach or bring the backside safety over. Now you're vulnerable to weak side runs to the single. You're man-to-man on the X. Your Will's man-to-man on the back. 3 high for us solves so many of those problems. Now, I'm not saying it took away tight end runs. We still have to be able to defend tight end attached trips run game. But from a coverage standpoint, it's a lot easier when you know that the 3 vertical player is somebody playing from depth and it's not the Mike linebacker in the A gap. And you don't have to bring the backside safety over to account for 3 vertical because, now that's standard 3-by-1 check for a ton of people. Still good football, still good defense. I've never been on teams that are good enough to play man on the single all night long and support single side runs all night long. And again, this is, most of these things are my philosophy. 24 years of high school football. When you get 3-by-1, every offensive coordinator can beat you to the single. Not every offensive coordinator can beat you to the trips. I guarantee you, if you go back and you look at your film and you look at what people do, the single in high school is the guy they're trying to go to in 3-by-1 a bunch of the time. Now, there are some really good offenses out there that'll kill you to the trip side, that you have to have trip side adjustments. You've got to be able to flood some intermediate zones. They'll run spacing concepts to death. Not saying it isn't out there, but I'm just saying I like to look at things. I guess it's the golfer side of me, strokes gained, analytics, money ball. I like to look things as I get older from an analytic perspective. I finally figured out a couple of years ago that you cannot defend everything. You cannot be in a situation to defend everything. You've got to defend the things that give you the most problems and the things that other teams do well. You also can't you can't give people so much credit. The weaknesses in your defense. In certain calls, if teams do something that you're in trouble, well, hell, they got to figure that out and they got to call it. So a lot of times I know from me, at least, I'm speaking from my own personal experience. I get into something and I get out of it because I don't like it or I game plan and I don't put things in a game plan because I don't like it off of something that they may do or they could do. And then they never do it. And you wonder why you didn't call that or you didn't play in that. So if you were to just do some I know free time now is about over, as a football coach, but during the summer, during the winter, when it's not football and you're looking for things to do, study your last couple of years of film, see how many teams beat you up to the trips and how many teams try and attack to the single. I'd be willing to bet you that it's more single side attack than it is trip side attack. Unless they find something in a game that they like that you can't defend, then they'll just keep going to it. But philosophically, I think offensive guys want to go to the single. Misdirection and play action. Is it playing close lines? No, I mean, anytime I was talking tight end attached, Philly. I don't like the I'm not in love with the run support of whatever you call special. Our number one trips check is man on one, palms on 2 and 3. I don't like the run support as much versus tight end attached. And the thing that becomes a bitch is the stretch of if the number 2 receiver gets removed from the number 3 and 3 goes to the flat, that's a long way to run for the safety to get over 2. It's hard enough playing palms versus 1 and 2. When you start playing palms versus a number 2 receiver and a tight end that's attached. Now, if those splits get tighter, we can do it. When we were a 4-2-5 team, I wasn't in love with the run support to that side. Now, I've done it before. I'm not going to lie to you and say I haven't done it. We've carried that as one of our trips checks. But leaving a 6-man box and playing palms on 1 and 2 and poaching number 3 was usually everybody's standard tight end attached quarters check, for the most part. But I hate leaving a single by himself. All right, first of all, if teams are going to run the ball effectively on you, play action is always going to be a bitch. So I think your philosophy needs to be stop the run first. Don't do anything different coverage wise because of action stuff. The bottom line is guys that are responsible for down the field routes need to take care of action stuff, and guys that are responsible for run need to take care of run stuff. Now, the really good action teams aren't going to be the ones that play action and chunk you. They're going to be the ones that play action and hit you with the tight end and over routes behind the backers in front of the secondary. I think in high school, a lot of the times you see play action, deep balls, post wheel, and all these shot plays, which we did it as an offense too. Don't get me wrong. But to me, the back end is still responsible for the down the field shots. Maybe the wheel route versus a force player that's getting sucked up on, a lot of great stuff happens off jet sweep and, running post wheel off jet sweep action. But as far as the inside backers that are run players, teams got to take advantage of that by running tight end over an intermediate passing game. And, just like RPOs, if you're going to suck somebody up with play action, you need to throw the ball where they are not. So sucking backers up to throw a post route, to me, is not the greatest concept play action wise. But first thing you got to do is you got to stop the run. Second thing you got to do, I think with any defensive concept, you've got to be able to play man defense at some point in your deal, whether it's man free or, you don't have to play zero all the time, but you've got to be able to play. We do not play a ton of man at the school I'm at. It doesn't fit us. We don't have those type of players. We carry man stuff. We carry man free. We carry man with underneath cut players for mesh teams and shallow cross teams. We carry man deals with help for RPOs. We carry them. We just don't live in them. So I think the other thing versus play action that you got to be able to do is you got to be able to play some man deals where you can defend, guys don't have a conflict between fitting runs and fitting. They're playing a man. Now, tough to do in high school. Get your eyes right if you're playing a tight end or a fullback, but I'm asking you to play a man, not exactly be part of the run fit unless your man is in the run scheme. But I would say if you want to stop play action stuff, I would say that you got to stop the run first, take away the threat of the run game so that your kids can sit in the passing game a little bit more. But the down the field stuff needs to be defended with down the field players. And then, your backers are going to be run fitters. They're going to fit runs first. And then if the other team's good enough to action and throw behind them, you've got to have some change ups in coverage, right? I think that's the main deal with defense in general. I think we have to have change ups because the offense is too good. The scenario that Brian brought up earlier about playing quarters and 3 pushes away and how you're handling all that. We have to have answers because the offense has answers, right? So to me, I think your answers on defense end up becoming you being smart enough to know, all right, well, this is an issue for us. The offense might do that. What's the counter to that, right? So you carry those things. I'm not saying you've got to install 9 million things, but we carry spot drop 3 deep. 2 reasons. Number one, it's how, well, actually 3 reasons probably. Number one, it's how I close the middle of the field. Number 2, we pattern match out of quarters. I don't want to pattern match out of quarters and rip lives because I think it's too much to teach. And number 3, because we pattern match, I want to play some spot drop stuff because a lot of teams are going to attack your pattern match with route beaters versus the pattern match. So I think spot drop's a good deal to carry, right? So you're just protecting your own deal with different fronts, different coverages, different movements. Everything you do should be a way to protect who you really are. Who you really are is your base defense every down. That's what you live in. That's what you hang your hat on. That's what you sell to your kids. And then based on where you have issues, because every good defensive coordinator knows where their issues are. And now you got to build in things to protect your issues. So against the tight end, we'll play the outside linebacker, the tight end, hard on mesh action, and the safety will drop down and play the tight end on pass. No, you talking about regular pro stuff, or Brian? That's one of the reasons quarters was such a great concept when it came in. A lot of people that were playing 3 deep stuff were getting beat with tight end, vertical, and other deals if their free safety was trying to run the alley. And quarters came about for a lot of different reasons, but one of them was, 2 of the reasons were so that you can defend the tight end vertical in play action game, and also so that if the tight end's not vertical, you could actually double the number 1, which a lot of people don't do anymore. But if you go back to old school NFL with like Jerry Rice and guys like that playing the Z, the great deal with quarters was if 2 wasn't vertical, the safety could build a wall and defend post-dig corner. Like the old school theory was if you were playing quarters and 2 went in or out, you would rob post-dig curl of 1. And I know that's still a deal. I get it that's a deal. We won't do that in 2 read. If 2 goes under for us when we play 2 read, our safety will defend the post 100 times a day. We'll give up the curl and the dig 1,000,000 times to defend the post. But the old school quarters theory, first day 1, you would teach your safety, if 2's not vertical, rob PDC, post dig curl, all the in breaking routes of 1, you would tell him to get under. And so, I mean, that's 21 personnel stuff. And even if it's open, the hardest thing about open is if, you're asking a guy to remove himself, whether he's inside or outside, he's responsible for a wheel. He's a lot further from the fit. But then if it's 2 removed and the safety's a 2 vertical player, he actually is supposed to be closer to the fit than the outside linebacker, but he's also a 2 vertical player. So that's a pain in the ass. I've looked at a bunch of different ways to do that. I've looked at possibly carrying 2 vertical with the outside backer, since we play with more of a hybrid safety than a Sam. I know if you're playing with a Sam, you're not going to carry 2 vertical, but I looked at possibly taking some heat off the safety on verticals by playing almost a Rip Liz match theory with the Sam on 2 verticals, so that the safety could hammer runs a little bit harder and be later to 2 vertical. Because 2 removed, that's the issue. Like for us, I think we play quarters to 2 removed less than 10% of the time. If a team has no inside run game and they have a lot of perimeter run and a lot of quick game, we'll do it. But if a team has, and especially 2 back 11 personnel, if they have inside run, I have a hard time moving my Sam out of the box and putting a safety closer to the fit. 21 personnel, love it. That type of stuff, absolutely love it. There's still a place for it. But a lot of the football that we see today with all the removed and really, when you think about it, that's, to me, and this is the way I would explain it to people, or the way that it was taught to me. When you talk 2 read or palms coverage is an adaptation of quarters, and here's the reason for it. So your traditional quarters teams would play the outside linebacker outside of 2, and he would have the flat routes of 2. He would carry the wheel of 2. When 2 started getting removed, in order for you to stay to that role so that the corner has no concern of what 2's doing, if you want to stay quarters coverage and you put the Sam outside of 2, all right, now it changes your run fits a little bit. So the adaptation for quarters teams that they felt more comfortable was 2 read, because 2 read puts the onus on the corner to play 2 to the flat. And now your outside backer can stay tighter to the box and be part of the run fit. So 2 read to me wasn't necessarily a coverage. It was more of an adaptation to quarters teams that had to figure out an answer to how they wanted to play 2 removed. And again, this is, you could talk to 10 different people and get 10 different answers. This is the way it was described to me by some of the people that I go to for my history of football information. And, 2 read became a deal, and palms became a deal because quarters teams were having a bitch when teams started going 10 personnel and 2 got removed. It was hard to play quarters by rule, by nature. Press quarters, or whatever you want to call some of the Michigan State stuff that they do, like maybe red zone quarters, whatever it is. Safeties matching 2 to the flat. That's just a bastardized version of man-to-man. But those are all adaptations to teams that want to be a quarters toolbox. They don't want to play, you know, single high stuff. They want to stay and live in a quarters toolbox, and that's how they handle the things that they need to handle. So, that's just part of the ebb and flow of the game, the history of the game, how guys do things, why they do things. So quarters originally came out as a 21 personnel deal, get 9 in the box first run, play the tight end vertical on play action pass, double the Z receiver if he's a dude, if 2 is not vertical. Those are kind of the original reasons, or at least the original things I studied of why quarters came about, probably to help defend some of the option stuff too, some of the split back veer stuff. But again, those are all just philosophical, historical deals. At the end of the day, play defense however you want. Play good defense, stop the run, change up coverages, have answers built in. Offenses are too good nowadays. So, you've got to have your change ups built in. You've got to have, all your answers built in. So, when most of you guys start camp in a couple weeks, are you guys one way team? Guys play both ways. Guys play one way. Are you one platoon, two platoon, whatever your terminology is, however you want to call it? How do you go about your practices? Our guys play both ways. So it kind of, our installs are a little bit different. How we do them is a little bit different because our guys, we have guys that we think are offensive starters and guys we think the defensive starters. But as soon as we get behind that, it's the same guys coming in offensively for our head coach. A lot of the guys that I start on defense, his personnel packages are all the guys that I start on defense. So our install and our practice is a little bit different. So I'm always interested in talking to guys that are on this channel or guys that are on YouTube Live. How are your practices more traditional? You're on offense, they're on defense, you're on defense, they're on offense, and all your installs are normal. Do you have to change your installs? Do you have to change your practice? I know for us, ours is a little bit different simply because of that. So we have what we think are, quote unquote, our offensive guys, our defensive guys, but within our entire program from freshman on up, everybody except the quarterback has to play both ways. And actually my starting safety this year was a backup quarterback that ended up that ended up becoming a starting safety for us, while we still have our starting quarterback who's an Iowa commit. So we're fortunate enough to have a quarterback that's committed to a Big Ten school. So our backup was able to as a 10th grader, learn how to play safety. And now this year he's going to start for us at safety. So, but I'm always interested. Practice schedules to me are always unique in high school. So I'm always interested in hearing how people do what they do. Yeah, that seems, Brian, like that seems probably more standard for most people. You've got your set guys and then personnel groups, or you got a couple guys you got to teach that might be different or special. But one of those deals that most people are probably, especially you mentioned you're at a larger school. Most people at larger schools, that's how they're doing it. They're traditional, football the way it was probably supposed to be played with offensive and defensive players, and not many two-way players. The guys they play two-way are either special, unique, or personnel groupings. Maybe short yardage goal line or extra linebacker deals or extra D-line deals. Or like I said, for us, when our offensive coach, our head coach is our offensive coordinator, when he wants to do some personnel groupings, it's going to be my Sam, my middle safety, my Mike, and my Will. Those are the bigger bodies and the best available. So we've got to install a little bit differently than most people. So, and for me, a lot of my backups are offensive starters, and a lot of coaches' backups are my defensive starters. So not only from a personnel grouping, but from a backup standpoint, that's kind of the deal. So we install a little bit differently, but practice schedules are always an interesting thing to talk about. There's so many ways to skin a cat. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I asked a question on Twitter last night on a Sunday night chat, how much indie time are you going to get first week? There's some guys that are going to get a ton of indie, and then there's other guys that responded and said, well, we don't get much indie at all. So everywhere you go, it's different. And again, the biggest thing I would say to people, there is no right or wrong. However you want to choose to do it, do it. I've seen teams win that do less indie. I've seen teams win that spend a ton of time in indie. I think everybody's got their quote unquote ideal way. And we go to colleges and we watch NFL practices, and yeah, we know what the practice script should look like. We know what the practice plan should look like. Well, I got news for you. If only 3 coaches are there that day, you can put your whole practice script, your whole schedule, and all your times of where they want to be. If there's only 3 coaches there, good luck sticking to that schedule. So the high school world, what we do for a living is the toughest job of all. It's, yes, college, you got to be on the road, you got to recruit, you're away from your family, you make more money than we do. Yes, the NFL is a bitch, and yes, the pressure at those levels is a bitch, but sometimes I would trade all those things off. You got 17 coaches, 14 GAs, and 18 managers. Your practice schedule should be the most efficient, and the most scripted out, every scenario, keeping track of wins and losses and analytics and numbers. And yeah, that's the way you probably should do it. Well, good luck when only three guys are there and you've only got, 26 players at practice. So there is no right way, wrong way. There is no, it's to each his own for each program that you're at, each program that you're coaching. And guess what? If you coach at different places, I've been a head coach at three different schools now, and now an assistant coach at one. So I've been at four different schools. Every one of those schools is unique in their own way. We can't practice the same. As a head coach, we didn't practice exactly the same at the three places I were at. That I was at. They were three different places. My coaching staff were three different coaching staffs. So, you know, I think practice is one of the things we could probably talk more about as high school coaches. But we all get sucked into scheme. We all get sucked into personnel and coverage and routes and that's why I did the teams video today, because I think special teams is a really important deal that a lot of people miss the boat on because we get so caught up in everything else that we do with offense and defense. And I think sometimes in high school you lose a lot of games really quick on if you don't focus on special teams. So that's one of the reasons I did that today. Tomorrow I'll probably do some type of offensive video tomorrow, and then maybe Wednesday or so. Are you still on the beach, Rock, or are you back home? That's the way we did it forever, Rock. We were split practices, probably 75% offense one day, 25% defense one day, and then the next day we were 75% defense, 25% offense. Uh, By the way, Rock, you probably caught about the hottest week we've had all year down here. It was absolutely miserable. I worked every morning at the golf course that you were down here, and by 10 o'clock, I was shot the entire day. It was miserable. Probably nice on the beach with a little bit of a breeze, but you caught. I don't think you might have got some rain. I don't know how much rain we got, but you caught a doozy of a time to come down. It was hot for me, and I've been down here for 26 years. I'm outside all the time, and I got home at night and I just got my ass kicked working. We didn't have workouts, so I didn't have football stuff, but I was working at the golf course in the morning, and then I was playing some golf and practicing, and just doing. I haven't felt that bad since 2 days in college. I was just physically whipped. But I hope you had a great vacation. I hope it was peaceful. Sorry I didn't get a chance to come down there. I was actually the weekend before you got there. We were at the Embassy Suites for my daughter's 16th birthday for a little bit. So um, hope you had a good vacation down there. But the Philly, it's interesting you say that. Sometimes there's times where I think about getting out and not getting back in. I think about going into the golf world full time or doing something else full time because it's been a long 24, 25 years. And my daughter drives now, and finding all these side hustles and things you got to do to try and make enough money is becoming a pain in the ass. So you're thinking about getting back in. I'm thinking about actually getting out. But right now I can't. There's nowhere for me to go, nothing for me to do. So um, this is the world we're living in right now. So it'll be football for a little while. But I think practice schedules is one that people can talk about all the time. I think we can learn a lot from each other talking about practice schedules. Schemes are great. Schemes are where we all get attracted to. Everybody wants to talk scheme. It's the football pornography, if you want to look at it in a strange way. But, schemes are the one thing that everybody's drawn to. It's when you see social media stuff, how do guys get likes and follows and everything else? Put a clip of Alabama and Nick Saban on there. Use all their terms, put a diagram up and say, hey, this is Mars, this is Venus, this is Stubby, this is Stump, this is, that's the craze in social media. Everybody wants to hear about what Saban's doing and what, all the best teams out there are doing and what does Kirby Smart do and how do they play it different than them. And so scheme is always like the clickbait. That's what gets everybody in. But I think special teams talks, practice talks, I think a big talk for a lot of people should be off-season conditioning, what you do with your weight room in the off-season, how you handle multiple sport players, how you handle, uh, guys that are playing travel ball and things like that, and how do you get guys into the weight room to get them ready for the season. Um, so those are things to me that I think, and I always try. I know for me at least, um, when I'm doing if I'm doing virtual clinics or I'm doing anything like that, or when I had the Play Fast clinic, I always try and get a special teams guy and a strength guy. I always try and fit that into the equation because I think those are things sometimes that we just miss the boat on. And I'm no different than anybody else. As soon as you talk RPOs or three high, boom, I go in the same direction as everybody else, right? So, I don't say that to anybody to be demeaning or to sound, pompous at all. I'm the same guy. I'm like everybody else. I schemes, coverages, blitzes. Like sometimes I think we get away from practice plans, schedules, off-season workouts, special teams, techniques, and fundamentals. So I always try and go back and do a little bit of those things. So um, I actually asked the guy from Florida State that I know to do if he could talk on special teams. And he couldn't commit to a date. I wanted to get a special teams guy in the virtual clinic series that we were doing. I just couldn't get one, but we had a pretty good mix. Like I said, the six that I put out there that I offered up to everybody on the YouTube channel, of the six we did, it was Noel Mazzone on offense. It was my head coach Tim Crouch on offense. Uh, we had a practice drills one. We had a tackling one. I did blitz families, and then we had an inside zone one. I've got two defensive ones coming up and one more offensive line one. So I tried to, at least from a clinic schedule, even though it's a virtual clinic, I tried to think about all the things that drive me nuts when I go to clinics. And a couple of things I thought about were the plan. How many 4-2-5 guys can you hear from? How many linebacker guys can you hear from? How many option guys, whatever it is. Like I tried to make a diversified plan with offensive speakers, defensive speakers. So of the clinics that I have on my YouTube channel, again, the ones that I threw out there that I told people that they could get their hands on if they wanted to, and I put my email up at the beginning of this video. I thought we had enough of a balance. So, like I did a defensive one. I've got two more defensive ones coming up. There was a philosophy one. There was a screen game. So I always try when I think clinics, and when I did my Play Fast clinic that Rock was at 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, that's the first thing I thought of. It was all high school speakers. That was important to me. But then the first thing I thought of was how do we get diversified to get topics and try to have a different topic at every setting. I mentioned earlier, I went to the Nike clinic this year and I heard from four different head coaches on building a program. Doesn't really do it for me. I'm sorry. I can't go to four program building topics. I went and listened to all of them, but at a certain point, you got to give me some choices. You got to give me, like I said, you got to, offense, defense, special teams, maybe some weight room, maybe some practice organization. To me, you map a clinic out and you try and get a piece of everything that guys may want to hear. And again, I get it, being in that world and doing it the first time and hopefully getting back into it live and in person. And now doing the virtual clinic stuff. I get it. You want clickbait. I get it. You want big names. I get it. You want fancy topics. Like right now, any video or anything I did, if I tagged three high to everything I did, I would get 1,000 more views. On offense, if I tagged RPOs or whatever was the flavor of the moment, NFL passing game. So I get it when you're trying to draw attention to things, but to me, I'm still kind of struggling with the business model and providing a good clinic for people that are just like me, right? That's how I got into this. I was a GA in college and my head coach sent me to a clinic in Dallas and first clinic experience. And, so I try to take my 24 years as a high school coach, 2 years as a GA, 26 years of football coaching experience. And I try to say, all right, what makes a good clinic? What do you need to have there to have a good clinic? And unfortunately we couldn't do it live, but like I said, we did those virtual ones and, they're on my YouTube channel. So I've thrown them out there for everybody that's interested. We got three more coming up. So again, if you're interested in listening to a defensive one this Thursday night, I'm actually excited and kind of proud. The kid that's speaking, I say kid, he's 30 something years old now, but he played for me in high school and then he coached. He was one of my defensive coordinators and a position coach for me. I started him off in the coaching world and now he's a DC at a really, really good program. in Northeast Florida. So he's going to speak Thursday night. So 2 more defensive ones and offensive line ones. So we're going to do it again in the offseason next year. I'm going to start it up maybe sooner while I also try and get the live clinic off the ground and run it again. So, a lot of different ideas, a lot of different things going on. Sometimes the problem with different ideas is I get lost in the sauce, and I get so many ideas going that I never focus on one of them. So, I've got some podcast ideas. I've got some clinic ideas. I've got some website ideas. I've got a million golf ideas that you guys that, you probably, if you're not a golfer, you don't click on it when they come on, but I've been doing a ton of shorts and other videos because I'm an avid golfer. And, um, unfortunately in the business world, there's a bigger window for golf than there is for football. And that's not tonight's topic, but the audience that I've reached with PlayFast, to be honest with you, is probably almost tapped out. I mean, how many people are there in the world that want to sit down like you guys do and listen? I mean, hell, there aren't many like you, Philly, who aren't into football and are sitting down for X's and O's clinics and topics and YouTube lives. And so that market is kind of saturated or almost dried up in a way. So, the golf market is endless. It's limitless. You don't even have to be that good at what you're doing. You just need a personality and you need to come up with an idea that gets off the ground and running. But football's the world I live in. It's what I do. We're getting ready to go full time football season. So obviously I have way more film that I can show to people on my Patreon site. Way more football experiences going on. Right now, we're still in the trial and error mode. We're still in the 7-on-7 world, and we like this and we don't like that. As soon as the season comes, everybody gets down to nut cutting time, and you figure out it's one of those things that you figure out real quick. All right, shit, this is who we are. This is good. This is not. Throw all the clinic bullshit out the window. This is what we're doing. Or you get to places where Rock's been in this situation in the past. 2 weeks in and your head coach goes, hey, I want to go back and play this on defense. All right, well, shit, coach, we've been working on this for 8 months. Well, no, we're going back and playing this. And now you're stuck because you work for that guy. So, football season is a completely different animal. And once it gets here, the grind is full time. And the only thing I can tell you experience-wise, when football season comes, whatever the hell you need to do to get the job done, get it done. If you got to blitz 80% of the time, blitz. If you never have to blitz, don't blitz. If you got to play man, play man. Results are the only thing that matters. The offseason is a beautiful time of year to talk football, and we all love it, and we're all kind of, I would say diagnosed with the same disease. We all have the same affliction. It's football-itis, but once you get to the season and it's time to get results, you just figure out real quick, hey, this is what we got to do. I know that I love tight 3 high, but it ain't getting it done. We've got to go 4 down. We've got to go. That's the beauty of the football season. It's improvise and adjust. It's keep your neck above water and one game at a time, and let's keep moving on. So, yeah, Chase, the golf is the easiest thing in the world for me. I've been playing for a long time. Coaching is coaching to me. So, I understand enough about it to be dangerous. I don't understand enough about it to do it full time, but I work at a golf course. I live on a golf course. So those videos are so easy in the summer for me to do. And they're a lot easier than football videos to do because my football videos I film at school. So when I'm not at school with that camera in my classroom, you would think after 10 years I'd have a YouTube studio at home. I don't. So the golf videos are actually easier to do. I only do shorts. I don't do longer golf videos, but for me, they're actually kind of a decompress from the football world. They're a way that I can still do what I do for a living and help people and try and put information out there that might help people. But at the same time, it takes the burden of football away. At times, I know that sounds strange to people, but at times the burden of football can be a little bit much, and I need something other than 15 beers to decompress from football. So it's yeah, pretty much. I'm a fucking better player than Spurrier. I can tell you that. He's a pretty good gambler and he can get it where he needs to get it, but I was never a fan of his golf game. Great guy though. But yeah, I would say, obsessions, passions, other things. It's just kind of a calling. But I played it in college while I played football. So originally, little known fact, coming out of high school, I played Division II golf on a full scholarship. I almost never played college football. So if the college I was at didn't go bankrupt, I never would have went back to play football. I was playing golf on a scholarship. So that was my first college athletic experience. And then when they went under, I told my dad I wanted to play football. So I went back to the D3 schools that recruited me to play football. And then I was fortunate enough to be at St. John's University in New York, which was D3 football, but Division I, Big East sports everywhere else. Um, so golf team had a 6-man open and they were having tryouts. I was having some really, really great success playing receiver that I never knew I was going to have in college. But, things happen for a reason. And I tried out and made the 6-man and got half scholarship my last 2 years. So I played 2.5 years of golf in college. So I've been doing it a long time. It's a crazy, crazy passion of mine. And I want to get into the coaching side of golf because I think coaching is coaching. And I think there's way more people trying to get better at golf than there are trying to get better at football. I don't have many mentors who are pushing me to learn more. No, thank you for all your time. Oh, no problem, Gucci. It's why I do it. We're just out there trying to help people. Yes, you know, um, it's a side venture for me. PlayFast is an LLC company. It's never turned into the business. Couple reasons: I'm too busy to turn it into a full time business. Number one, don't have the investors to turn it into. I would have. My goal would have been to build almost a PlayFast Academy where I rented a facility and train kids year round the way we want to train them. I don't think I ever would have gave up coaching. I would have tried to do both, but that was one of my goals was to be able to do year round, to be able to do coaching clinics and then to be able to do training and train players the way we want to train them. Um, and all under the Play Fast moniker. The great thing about the Play Fast deal now is when I branch off into other things, I have the LLC so they can all be Play Fast Productions. So anything I do in golf can be a Play Fast production. Like one of my, again, you guys don't need to hear this because it's a football chat, but this idea, I got an idea of something I want to do with golf but I want to call it hungover par, right? So everybody knows what it's like to play, or not everybody, most people know what it's like to play golf early in the morning when you were out late the night before, especially when you were younger. Everybody also relates everything to par. How many over par are you? I'm trying to break 80. I'm trying to break 90. I'm a 15 handicap. I average whatever. So had an idea that came to me the other day, hung over par, a Play Fast production out on the golf course, shooting different videos, doing different things, first tee time out, talking to guys, just all the things we did when we were younger. So a lot of different ideas. Again, my mind goes a million different ways. Problem is, I never focus on any of them. YouTube and Play Fast Football is the only thing I've done consistently um, for this long of a time because everything else to me is usually an idea that comes and then either I get bored or I don't have the means to pull it off. So, again, all those things sidetracked. Tonight was football stuff. So, 3 weeks out, I'm going to try and get on YouTube Live at least one or two more times. Again, Thursday night clinic this week, another one next Thursday, another one the following Thursday. You can email me. I'll put it up there again. If you're interested in those clinics, they're $10. Um, and when I do the clinics, I put them on my YouTube channel privately, not public. And then what I do is I go back and uh, everybody that attends the clinic live, or if they sign up and can't come, I have a lot of guys that sign up and say, "Coach, I've got practice, can't be there." What I do is I email the link back to everybody that was there. This way, while we're doing the Zoom call, you can ask, like the speakers will answer any questions you want them to answer. But like if there's a slide up there that you're trying to screenshot or you're asking coach to go back, I send you the YouTube link afterwards so that you can watch it on YouTube. So it's not public on my YouTube channel. So only people that registered have access to it. But the reason I do it that way is so when I send you the YouTube link, you can now watch it and pause it. You don't have to worry about screenshotting. You can rewind it. You can watch it a million times. So I found out, to me, the way I learned, that was one of the best ways to do it. Plus, as a presenter, I liked it a lot better because instead of, now I don't mind if guys stop me and ask questions. I don't mind one bit. I've spoken at 8 different Glacier clinics. I've done presentations a bunch. Guys asking questions doesn't bother me one bit. Guys taking pictures of stuff doesn't bother me. But if you only have an hour and a half of time and, you know, you have a way that the presenter can keep rolling, but the guys that are there aren't missing out on info. That's the best of both worlds. So by sending everybody that attends live, or if they register but they can't attend live, by sending the YouTube link, now you get a chance to go back and watch it. And when you watch it, you can pause it, you can wind it, you can go whatever you want. You can watch it 75 times. It's your link. Once I send you the link, as long as you have the link saved on a computer, it goes right to that video. And again, nobody else, the good thing is, I try and stay loyal to all the people that are loyal to me. Only the people that registers for those clinics have those links. Now, if anybody registered and shared the link with somebody else, good on you. Did I do it back in the day? Yeah, I probably did. Did we borrow Glacier passes? Yeah, we probably did. So I'm not in the business world where I'm trying to cut the legs out of people and go, hey, you gave that link to your buddy. If you were there and you're loyal to me and you got the link, give it to your whole staff. I don't care. But that's one of the reasons I do the virtual clinics that way. I record them on Zoom, load them onto my YouTube. They're unlisted, private, so only people that register can see them. And it was a good way for me to get some speakers. Again, like this Thursday, this kid's never spoke really at anything before, and this is his first one. So guys are doing me a favor. I'm doing other people a favor. I'm helping people with presentations. And then the people that present always come back and ask, hey, what'd you think? How was it? They've all been phenomenal. I don't have a problem with any one of them. I would ask every one of them to do it again. But guys, coaches are conscientious. They want to know about their presentation. They want to know, should you have more film? Should you have more clips? Should you have more PowerPoints? And to me as a presenter, every presentation is unique. I do it different than everybody else. I like to talk about things more than I like visual. I always have PowerPoints, videos, everything else, but I don't like going to a clinic and watching an hour worth of video clips of a guy making great plays. I need to see it first. Tell me why you do it. Tell me what it is. Show me diagrams, then show me, the clips of that. So, every presenter is different. We all have a way of doing things. Every listener is different. Everybody that gets information is different. So for me, I just know the best way that if you can get a YouTube link that you can pause, take pictures, whatever you need to do. Like, a lot of guys come and they're going to share stuff with their staff. And it's like, hey, coach, can you go back to that slide? I want to take a picture of that, your goal sheet, or I want to take a picture of your practice plan. Once you have the YouTube link, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about stopping it. You'll get it, show it to everybody, however you want to do it. So that's one of the reasons we do it the way we do it with the virtual stuff. And that's why I do it on Zoom. It's the easiest way to do it. It's worked out so far. So again, another one of those coming up Thursday. The other 6, if you're interested in one of them, let me know. If you're interested in all 6 of them, let me know. Like I said, for people that are on the Play Fast channel, I'm doing a deal all the way up to football season all the way up to football season. If you wanted all 6 clinics, you can register for all 6 clinics. So again, just a way to get information out to people, change what I think is wrong with the clinic world and how I would do it again if I do it live again. Trying to do it live again. Don't know if I can get the site that I had. They're a big wedding venue. So trying to do it live, trying to do it in Florida. If I can't do it in Florida, maybe we can do it somewhere else. But I don't know if I would say favorite Coach Moore, but the easiest one for me is where the depth of the Sam linebacker. So I just taught it to our freshmen this morning. And we keep it real simple. As far as the passing game is concerned, I give them 3 things that I talk about with number 2. 2 can go up, in, or out. That's all we talk. And when we do drills, the kids better be able to tell me when I say, what did 2 do? First thing I get is hand gestures. He went to the sewer cap, went to the park car, ran a button hook. I'm not asking for a hand gesture. Coach, he started to run. That's not what I'm asking you. I gave you, when I taught it, I gave you 3 distinct things that he can do, and I gave you the landmarks for each one. So with our kids, it's real simple. If he's outside and deeper than the Sam, that's up. All right. So if he's vertical, deeper than the Sam, that's up. If he's underneath the Sam and headed to the cornerback, that's out. Okay. If he's shallower than the Sam, across the Sam's face, that's what we call in, right? So it's up, in, out. Again, if he's working vertical, deeper than the Sam, that's up. If he's working outside, shallower than the Sam, so less yardage than the Sam, that's out. If he goes across the Sam's face, underneath the Sam's depth, that is in. That is not foolproof. Trust me. Guys will run the dirty vertical on you where the Sam drops with depth. They go under the Sam, over the Mike, and split the middle of the field. You still have a lot of things you got to work on. The speed out, the 5 yard out. Thanks, Philly. I'll talk to you next time. All those things you got to rep, you got to work on. But I don't like yardages. I don't think kids see yardages on the field. Relying on verbal, we still talk about verbal communication, but if the band's playing and there's a lot of people at the game, I don't think you're going to hear that. So we've got to rely on distinct rules that our kids understand. Hey, what did two do? And one of the things that I'm big on when I'm teaching it is if me or the corners coach, if I say to the corner or the safety, what did two do? We better get the same answer, and you better give it to me in the terms that I gave it to you in. We don't have time to go through a dissertation about he ran post corner wheel comeback. Was he up? Was he in? Was he out? That'll let me know. And then the underneath guys like the Sam and the middle safety, the guys that are matching the back, all I ask them, was the running back wide? Was the running back tight? That's all I need to know. Don't tell me he ran an angle. Don't tell me he ran swing. Don't tell me was he wide or tight. We'll figure the coverage out off of that. So when you're discerning the coverage and the pattern matches the way you need to, it's all about the terminology that you use. If you go to 10 Palms teams, they'll give you 10 different answers. None of them are wrong. However, your corner and safety figure out what two's doing to match the routes is the most important thing. Easiest one I found for us is the depth of the Sam and outside or inside the Sam, breaking it down to three things: in, up, out. The only other thing we talk about is does he block the Sam, and we got to fit off of that. If he cracks the Sam, obviously that's run game deal. But in the passing game, we talk in, up, out, wide, tight. That's it. We'll, down the road, we'll get to talking about route combinations and what routes they're running. But initially, when you're teaching coverages, I don't think all those routes are important in a pattern match deal. You need to know what you're playing based off the declaration of the receiver that you're reading. Then you can get into defending posts and digs and post corners and everything else. But initially, like this morning, we had our freshman for the first time that I've seen him, and I had to teach him pattern match. And we started with Palms, and I said, all right, here's what we do. And put a Sam and a middle safety and a corner and a high safety out there. And I made them all go through it and then just keep quizzing them all the time. And then we had a fundraiser afterwards. And after we did the fundraiser, kids got their cards that they have to sell. And kid walked by and I said, hey, what are the three things two can do? In, up, out, coach. So then after that, you just quiz them. You're looking for feedback to make sure they understood exactly what you were trying to say. But that's a great question, Patrick. And if you go to 3 clinics, you'll get 3 different answers. If you talk to 3 different Palms or 2 read teams, you'll get 3 different answers. I don't think any of them are right or wrong. Just a matter of what works for you, what works with your kids. I've done it a bunch of different ways. We've done yardages. We've done landmarks. We've done depth of the Sam linebacker, outside, inside the Sam linebacker is one of the easiest ones for me that I found. Is it foolproof? No. Is the offense going to find ways? If they know how you're playing pattern match, they're going to find ways to run all the Dickham routes and all the routes that give you fits. So just something that you got to work on all the time. And if you're a pattern match team, the communication, the reps, we do hat flying all the time. So just something that you got to be doing. So we have the baseline if we want to match our 5-man blitz as an open field from 3-4 tight. You're welcome, Patrick. So when we send 5 and we play 3 under 3 deep, we actually play it in a vision and break theory. We don't match it. We don't match carry deliver. So we play vision and break with 2 seam players and a 3 hole dropper. So anything in the passing game, those guys are going to play vision and break off the intentions of the quarterback. The reason we don't match carry deliver when we play 3 under 3 deep is because, like I said, to me, it's all about how many pattern matches you can teach. If I was a single high rip Liz match team, then most of my 5-man pressures would be match carry deliver 3 under 3 deep, match carry deliver. So, the 2 seam guy matching a route to the flat, carrying a vertical and delivering an inside route to the 3 hole player. That's the standard way 3 under 3 deep is supposed to be played. That's the way it would get taught, from the big timers, NFL, college. That's the tightest way to cover patterns. We don't play that theory. So there's no carryover from rip Liz match to match carry deliver. Our routes, the only carryover I would say is 2 to the flat in quarters for the Sam linebacker. But, our outside backers, our down guys don't carry two vertical. Like when we spot drop three deep, we midpoint with the corners. We don't carry verticals. It's not what we do. So, for us, Brian, to be honest, we play vision and break because we also carry six-man hot pressure. Not to knock on Michigan State. I know I bitched at them about quarters, but that's the first play. Michigan State was recruiting a D lineman that I had, and I asked them about it, and they were the first ones I ever heard it from. So, um, you know, hot pressure, vision and break technique, whatever you want to call it. We send six and play two underneath players with three deep coverage. We send five, play three underneath players with three deep coverage. And the answer Michigan State gave me at the time was for the amount of times that they send five and play three under three deep, the ball gets out so quick, the middle hole player is never really involved in a lot of the theories. So they got to a point where they said, you know what, the hell with this. We're just going to play with the two seam guys and we're going to send a sixth rusher and try and get to the quarterback. That's how their six-man hot pressures came about. That is a true story from the linebacker coach at Michigan State. So we play both of our 5 and 6 man deals in a vision and break theory. If you ask me what the best is, I would say match, carry, deliver. If you ask me about man free, I would say you need to carry that too. So we will send 5 and play man free. We will send 5 and play three under three deep. Here's an interesting one for you, and hopefully down the road I have film on this. I put this in the spring. We sent 5, and we played our corners and safeties on the ones and twos, and we played with 2 low hole vision and break players and no post safety. All right. And nobody played the back man. The back man was going to be played by the 2 vision and break players. So think about it as like an old fashioned peel theory. A lot of teams will play man free. They'll send 6, play with a post safety, but the edge rushers have to peel the back. So nobody is assigned to the back unless the back releases wide across somebody's face. Right. So I took the peel theory and I put it into a man free theory. And I said, all right, I'm going to play man. And instead of having peel rules, I'm going to let the 5 rushers rush, but I'm going to have 2 vision and break players, 2 seam players, if you think about it in those terms. So basically, a D gap edge player and a D gap edge player that aren't part of the rush, they're drop players. But if it's run game, they're all vision and break with their eyes on the quarterback. They're only playing or what I call collecting the back if he tries to release into the pass route. If the back doesn't release, they're playing off the intentions of the quarterback. Helps us with screens, helps us with quarterback scramble stuff when we're pressuring. All right. But so we now send 5 and we play that theory. We send 5 and play man free, and we send 5 and play three under three deep. And again, we carry them all. I don't say I call them all every week. It'd be not. And then there's weeks where we go in and we don't. Last year, what would I tell you? 95% of our 5-man pressures were vision and break three under three deep. The other 5% were standard man free with a post player. This spring, I put in the newer version of the man free from a peel perspective, but we're not peeling. But it's that theory in general. I want to rush all 5. I don't want to cover the back unless he releases. So a little bit different version of man free. So to answer that, Brian, we majority of the time we're three under three deep, vision and break. Best coverage in that is match, carry, deliver by far. You'll get the tightest throwing windows. Thanks for the questions tonight. A couple great questions, Brian. Appreciate it. So that would be my answer. Three under three deep. We play at vision and break. Most people play match, carry, deliver. That's what all the big boys play. So really good one tonight, guys. Appreciate all of you being here. An hour and 20 minutes of football, which was probably well needed for everybody. 3 weeks before camp. We'll do another one next week at some point. I'll try and do at least 2 more before the season starts. And then during the season, it'll be tough, but maybe I'll try and jump on and talk to everybody. Yeah, Mike. So if you email me, I put my email up twice, sting8740@gmail.com. If you email me, everything, Rock, take care. I hope you're not too sunburnt. Everything that we do at the clinics, it's all done through, I have Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. They're all Play Fast Football 8740. And what I do is people email me and then they send me $10 for an individual clinic. And then I put them on the list. And then on the night of the Zoom call, I send them the invite, and then every the Zoom call gets recorded. So whether you were there live or you couldn't attend live, if you registered for the clinic and you paid $10 for the clinic, I send you the YouTube link the next day as soon as I get it all uploaded. And then what I mentioned was you can, yeah, it's sorry, I'm typing it out. So what I mentioned earlier was I've done 6 of these clinics already, and I offered to anybody that follows PlayFast, I offered all 6 clinics for $40 instead of $60. So leading up to football season, I gave everybody a chance if they wanted to get all 6 clinics for $40 instead of $60. I offer that out to people, and then this Thursday that'll be $10 if you want to register, and then the following Thursday, every Thursday is $10. At the beginning of the year when I got these going, I offered a season pass. So a couple guys paid for the season pass, and they've been whether they've been there live or whether they got the link. Everybody that quote unquote kind of like Glazier in a small business world, I said, guys, I'm going to do about nine or 10 of these. They're $10 a piece. If you want to pay for all of them, it'll be $70. So kind of like a season pass, whatever you want to call it. So I have about 8 or 10 guys that did the season pass. Every week they get the email when they can be there live. If they can't be there live because they're busy, they get the link afterwards. So whether you're in attendance live or you registered but aren't in attendance, everybody that registers gets the YouTube link afterwards. And like I said earlier, when you get the link, you don't have to worry about asking a guy to screenshot something, or you don't have to worry. When you get the link, you can now watch it. It comes as a YouTube link to you. It's private or unlisted on my channel, so only the people that paid can see it. If you want to share it with your staff or friends, by all means, please do. But once you have the link, now you can rewatch the clinic on YouTube, or if you couldn't be there live, you can watch the Zoom call on YouTube to where you can pause it, fast forward, rewind, watch it 50 times. It's not one of those deals where I give you a link and the first time you click on it, it's done. It's just a straight link to where that channel is. Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate it. It's just a straight link to where I have that video on my YouTube channel. And once you have the link, you can watch it a million times. That's up to you. So again, my email's up here a couple different times, and then the Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, whatever interests you. All those deals are all PlayFast Football at PlayFast Football 8740. So each clinic was $10. The whole bunch of them is 40. 3 more to go. So if you want to register individually, those are $10 a piece. The week of it, just send me an email, sting8740@gmail.com. Hey, coach, I want to be in the clinic. All right, gotcha. Put you on the list. You pay that day, you get the invite, Zoom call, 8 o'clock. If you can make the Zoom call live, awesome. If you can't, you're still going to get the clinic because I send you the link. So just another way that I can try to help people while also trying to keep my neck above water with, everything that I have going on in my life. So, again, easy way to do it. We want to do them live again. I have a lot of ideas of things I want to do. Couldn't do them live after the pandemic. Couldn't get the site that I wanted. So I thought these virtual clinics would be the next best thing. Done about 6 of them already. So throwing them out there to everybody. 3 more left if you want to register. So look for another YouTube video tomorrow, probably an offensive one. We're going to do some RPO work tomorrow, some RPO drills with no pads on. So maybe I'll take a look at how those drills go and then do a video on how to best way to teach RPO stuff or whatever. But some type of YouTube video tomorrow. And then again, if you're interested in, I also have a Patreon site that I do that I don't throw out there too much to people, but it's a subscription site for $5 a month. I do a lot of diagrams. All the clinics go up there. I do a lot of recaps of us playing our schemes from the season. So once I get film, like at least once a week, I go through and take you through 2 or 3 drives on our defensive series, and I show film and I talk through all that. So it's patreon.com, Coach Mac, just like YouTube is Coach Mac. So bunch of different ways that you can get other information from PlayFast. But I appreciate you guys being here on a Monday night. Appreciate you following PlayFast. Appreciate those of you that like the golf stuff. I appreciate it. Those of you that don't, I am sorry. But that's something I'm interested in doing. Football's never going anywhere. But If you have any ideas for videos, let me know. Send me an email or send me a comment on YouTube. If you have an idea for a clinic that you would like to do, I get all my international people. I would love to do a clinic in Brazil. Don't have the investors to do that. Would love to do a clinic in Europe. Don't have the investors to do that. But if you had an idea of a way we could do a clinic in your state and you want to do, some type of clinic that you thought would be a good idea, we can discuss all those things. I'm here for anything you guys want. I'm only here because you guys are here. Without you, there is no PlayFest. So appreciate everything you do for me. Hopefully everybody's enjoying their summer. Hope the 4th went well. Hope everybody's getting the last bit out that they're going to get out, because in 3 weeks, all of us that do this for a living, it's go time. All right. So video tomorrow, probably offensive video. And then Thursday night clinic, 3 more clinics after that. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast. I will see every one of you guys. Thank you so much. Next time.